Swimming pools will literally prevent divorces in this country over the next 6 months.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Contractor Growth Network. I'm Logan Shinholzer, and I'm joined by Marcus Sheridan, who is a professional speaker. It's a marketing consultant, sales consultant too, and current and former pool guy. So Marcus, thanks for joining us today, man.
Pleasure to be here. It's important. It's an important time in our world, and so hopefully some of the things that we'll talk about will have, a direct benefit for your listeners, and that's what it's all about.
Well, I appreciate that. So just at the time of this recording, I know we released these a couple weeks later. It's March 19th, and we're kind of in the thick of it. So Marcus, in your opinion, right now, with everything going on with the virus and the economy and all the chaos, what is something just from a business owner leadership perspective, what should they be doing right now to keep the calmness and keep the business going as best as they can?
Yeah, I think just give some few thoughts on this. I went through 2008, almost lost my swimming pool company at that time. Thought that we were going to have to file bankruptcy. And that time period, Logan taught me a lot. And of course, went through 2001 as well, right? So some of those that are listening to this have gone through that. Some of those, this is their first time. I would say there's a few things that you want to keep in mind. The first one is more of your headspace. What I mean by that is, it's really easy right now to say, why is this happening? And woe is me, because everybody right now is dealing with difficulty, and it's not convenient, and it's very frustrating. But the issue is that place, that headspace doesn't actually get you anywhere, right? And so, the way my agency, the way we like to talk about it, one of our guiding principles is live in the solution. And I think right now more than ever, we all have to live very much in the solution, and we have to say every single day, what can I do to make the most out of this day right now? So I think that's number one. Once you do that and you say, okay, what are things that I can do? What's within my circle of influence? Well, you can do like I did in 2008, 2009. Up until that point in time, I knew the internet was going to be a big deal, but I hadn't done really anything about it, Logan. I hadn't started shooting videos really yet. I hadn't started producing content yet. I hadn't done really any social yet. And that's when, because of the pain, that's when I got over myself, right? And that's what's beautiful about pain, is it forces us to do things we otherwise wouldn't normally do out of comfort, right? And so in this context, I started to learn about all those things, learn about the internet, and became very, very inspired, right? And that's where our story comes from, where we said, hey, if we're going to lose our business, we have nothing to lose. Let's become the best teachers in the world about fiberglass swimming pools in our case. And we started to aggressively talk about these things on our website. And to make a long story short, it became the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world. And that philosophy is called They Ask You Answer. But that They Ask You Answer was born in hard times. And that's what everybody has to remember. It's during hard times where we have a unique focus. I like to call it's that focus that we have the day before we go on vacation, where we're trying to get a lot of stuff done. We're not dorking around. We're just going at it, right, bro? So it's the same thing right now, as we have this ability to learn more than we generally learn, and to lean into stuff and to do more than we generally do, because we are so stinking focused on, I got to save my business. I got to save the jobs of my employees. I got to find ways to generate revenue. So let me give you an example of how we're doing this at my swimming pool company. And anybody that is in any type of home improvement should be doing this right now. And that is, this week, we finally turned on, and I've been thinking about it for a while, but this sped it up, virtual sales appointments. So, there's people that would prefer not to have a salesperson in their home right now. And because of that, they might say, well, I'm not even going to talk to a contractor right now. Well, you could go that route, but you could also say, well, let's not assume that. Let's make sure that everybody knows that we give them the option. We can send a salesperson to their home, or we can meet with them virtually. So right now, if somebody wants to get a swimming pool, they want to get a quote, they have the option to go virtual or to go face-to-face in the home. All right. So face to face on the screen or face to face in the home. And they go face to face on the screen. In that first sales call, we give them the ability to identify the pool they want, the options they want, and a general pricing. If they are feeling good about the general pricing, we'll go out to their essentially backyard and we'll do a site plan at that point to see if there's any other hidden costs that we couldn't anticipate, like grading issues or whatever. And then we can give them, with the site plan, a definitive specific price. They do not have to have a salesperson in their home at any point, and they can sign the contract even online, right? And so this is one way that we've already adjusted. It's smart, and people are responding to it already. And the funny thing about this, Logan, is just like the Ask You Answer became a staple of who we are as a company, I bet you that 3 years from now, at least 50% of the appointments we do are phase one of them is face-to-face online and not in person.
So do you think with everything shifting, do you think it was already going to go in that direction where in 3 years it was going to
100%.
happen? Okay.
100%. 6 months ago, I was like, guys, we need to start doing virtual sales appointments. But like is always the case, nobody really took initiative on it. And so this forced us to take the initiative. I mean, again, it's a natural human way. Complacency is often the case during a time of prosper, but
Hmm.
during a time of strain and of less, that's when we overcome these complacencies and stretch ourselves. So I'm super excited about this. But yeah, I think this would have been necessary no matter what for anybody that's in home improvement. If you think about it too, it's so much more scalable, Logan.
Hmm.
Like everybody's starting to get used to it, especially now. They're all going to be used to, these teleconferencing platforms. They're going to be used to video conversations online, especially those that are spending money on their homes to improve it, right? So if that is the case, my gosh,
Hmm.
this is a no-brainer, and we should be doing it. And so everybody should be leaning into this right now. You'll spend less time on the road, which saves you in gas, gives you the ability to do 2 or 3 sales appointments in one evening, which is almost impossible if you're driving around from appointment to appointment in most cases, right? So yeah, this is the time.
Because this is kind of like what the CSA, I mean, this is what that's all built on is the idea of the over the phone estimate, pre-qualifying before you get out there. And now that it's not really even a possibility to jump in someone's space, it's almost like now they have to do it. So the CSAs, it used to be like, let's convince you that this is the way to go. But now it's like, this is almost like the only way to go at this point because of the atmosphere that we're in. So,
Right, right. And unfortunately, that is normally how it works. We're forced into something. But then once we're forced into it, all of a sudden people realize, you know what, that's not so bad. In fact, there's some benefits to that. So
mhm.
there's this whole like, look at what's happening in the world right now. Um, yeah, there's millions of people saying I don't like homeschooling my kids, and there's going to be another at least hundreds of thousands of people that are saying, you know what, this is actually a really good thing. I like homeschooling my kids. There's another group of people that are saying, they told me for years that I couldn't work remotely because I couldn't be effective, and I'm crushing it at home working remotely. So when all this stuff, when the storms are past, I'm telling them I'm staying home. And guess what? The companies won't be able to say, no, 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 you can't stay home. Those days, buddy, are gone, right? The demand you stay there because they're all going to have to be efficient right now from home, and there's going to be a lot of myths that are going to be dispelled and disproved during that time period.
So with everybody having to shift right now, I mean, this is what you had to do in '08 with They Ask You Answer, which is all about producing your own content and just literally just helping answer the questions that people have. During all this, what obstacles did you face as far as, let's just go with like blogging, like coming up with it, knowing what to say, or is it just the time of it?
Yeah, so when it came to the content that I was producing, there were some obstacles. The biggest obstacle was I really wasn't proficient with technology, but technology has gotten so much easier that if you can produce a Word document, you can add content to your website for
Hmm.
most companies, for most people. The other thing is you know, the ideas for what I should be producing content about, that was pretty simple because every time I went to a sales appointment, I heard questions. Every time I fielded a sales call on the phone, a prospect, I heard questions. And if they're asking you these questions, they're searching them online as well. If they're searching them online, they're worth you addressing them on your website. Studies show that on average, 70% of the buying decisions made before somebody talks to a salesperson, before they contact the company. So that means by the time they shake your hand, or by the time you now virtually see them face to face, they're 70% home. And if that's the case, they've done a ton of research, and it's our job to ensure that we are the ones they are learning from, not from somebody else. And that's a scary thing when somebody in your industry, a competitor potentially, is controlling the conversations in your space. That's a sad day to be in, because now you're losing control, and oftentimes that's how misinformation spreads as well. You know? So that was pretty simple to do. I just people tell me all the time, like what should I be talking about? I'm like, dude, are your ears on? Because if your ears are on, you hear questions every single day that will spawn content opportunities. And so that's what I did. I wasn't a great writer at first. I became a very, very good writer. And this is one of those things that now you don't even necessarily have to be a great writer. You could do a lot of your stuff through video, just like you were talking with a prospect, because everybody's listening to this right now. They might not consider themselves great writers, but I bet you they consider themselves pretty good with people. You have to be good with people if you're going to be successful at selling in the home or successful at sales in general. So if that's the case, you're used to giving explanations and answers to questions to help the person understand the thing. So you do that through video. There's transcription services now. I mean, my gosh, and they're so simple and cheap. And so there's literally no excuse at this point for people to say there's no way that I can do this. No, it's just that either you don't want to do it, or you're not experiencing enough pain yet so as to motivate your tail to do it. Now that everybody's motivated because of
Yeah.
pain, there's going to be a whole lot more people all of a sudden realizing, oh, this wasn't as hard as I made it out to be.
You'd be shocked how many clients that 2 weeks ago I have refused to do Facebook Live, but now I can't get them off it. They're all over it. They're putting all their content out there just because you kind of have to at this point.
Such great point. I talked to an organization yesterday. They have a few dozen international salespeople around the US and the world. And they're saying to me, Marcus, our guys have been doing the whole nose-to-nose, face-to-face selling for a long time. That's all they know. Now they're freaking out because they're sitting behind their computers, twiddling their thumbs, and the regular emails aren't working with prospects. Well, they don't know what to do. And they're finally asking, so what about video? They're finally asking. You see, all of a sudden, everybody's like, video's not my thing. Oh, so you can't pay your bills, so video's your thing. Isn't that interesting?
Well, it's like the idea of losing weight. Everybody starts to lose weight once they have that health scare. But the weight's fine until they have that health scare, and then okay, now it's time to make it happen. So
Yeah, for years, your kids are telling you to quit smoking. All of a sudden the doctor says you keep smoking, you're going to die in 2 years. Oh, now all of a sudden you stop.
mhm.
Right? This is how it works. This is how it goes. It's very human. And so, okay, that's where we were. Now we know where we are. So let's do something about it. And the thing about it is, Logan, we don't know how long this is going to be. Nobody knows right now. I mean, my gosh, one minute you think we're going to be out of this in 3 months. The next minute you think it's going to take 18 months, and all of it depends on cures and vaccines, right? And we don't know how quickly it's going to take to develop those things. And so I know what won't help is burying your head in the sand, right? What won't help is not taking advantage of this learning opportunity, because it darn sure is a learning opportunity, like unlike any other that any of us have probably ever had. Look, if you're not in home selling, you might as well be at your computer learning and working on your skills. As Jim Rohn said, and it's just more true today than it was when he said it 30 years ago, you must learn to work harder on yourself than you do in your job. All right, it's just a beautiful, beautiful phrase. It's true. Everybody can now work harder on themselves than they do on their job. And your job and your company will therefore benefit because of the fact that you doubled down on your own skills.
So during all this, I mean, we got like the content that we're talking about, and most people associate content with just marketing. Oh, like, if I do blogs, it'll get leads, but everybody kind of doesn't associate content with sales. You can use it in the sales process. You can actually sell using content. So with everything shifting now to online, and especially like River Pools and Spas has, I guess at this point, 12 years of content. How do you see the shift in sales now bringing more content, especially now that it's all going to be virtual for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, so there's a whole section in my book about this. So if you're listening to this, if you haven't read They Ask You Answer, dude, I'm just telling you, you need to read it because you're going to be flooded with ideas. One of which has to do with this subject that you just asked. I call that assignment selling. It's the process of being very intentional with content so as to move the prospect further down the funnel faster, shorten sales cycles while increasing closing rates, right? So that is the idea to this, and it's possible for everyone. And you can't be passive about it though. So let me give you an example, Logan. So let's say everybody in the next couple of weeks, you produce a buying guide to that thing that you sell, right? That talks about everything a buyer needs to know, the questions, the common questions answered, some of the very specific questions answered, mistakes they make, etc. So let's say you produce that guide and you want to move people down the funnel faster. Well, what you need to do is integrate it in your sales process. So hypothetically, it might be that, let's say you're going to have a sales appointment with them on Friday. You say to that person, so Logan, before we have that call on Friday, I want you to review this guide. Now, the reason why I'm going to ask you to review this guide, because it's going to answer some very specific questions that you have right now, questions about costs, questions about surprises or mistakes that people make, questions about certain features that you may not have considered. And by reading this, taking the time to review it, it's going to ensure that our time together on Friday is much more effective. It's also going to ensure that you don't make any mistakes with your money because you're getting ready to spend a lot of money, and I know you don't want to make any mistakes. Logan, will you make sure to take the time to review those things before our appointment on Friday? That's an example of doing it, but you notice I'm very definitive, I'm very clear, I'm very incisive. The invite at the end was frank. It wasn't, so it would be really nice if you could give that a look. No, it's, will you take the time to review those things before our appointment on Friday? Right? That's the type of language that we need to use. That's, again, what I call assignment selling. It's very, very effective. You ought to practice it a little bit because for many people, it's not natural. And if they do it, they're usually very passive about it. And that's where they fail to do it effectively.
So is it really all about with that? It's all about how you say it, how it
Yeah, it's
comes
very much
across.
how you say it. So for example, you don't want to just say, hey, I got this buying guide. Will you read it? That's not effective. You notice you got to set it up, right? So if it was a swimming pool, I might say, now this buying guide is going to answer a lot of the questions that nobody's addressed that I know you're thinking right now. Like, should I get a cover with my pool? What's the best type of cover? Should it be mesh? Should it be solid? Should it be electric? Should I get a heater with my pool? Should it be gas? Should it be electric? Should it heat and cool my water? No, it's going to answer all these questions and more. It's a little bit long, about 30 pages, but I promise it'll be well worth your time. Will you take the time to review those things before our appointment on Friday? But you see, the thing is, Logan, you notice I didn't just say, here's a buying guide. I presented to you some questions that made you doubt just how much you knew, right? You're like, cool the water? I ain't thought about cooling the water. Maybe I should read that, right? This is the way to do it effectively. How you say it matters. I don't think we as salespeople work nearly as much as we should. When I say salespeople, I'm talking about everybody in your organization because they're all in sales, right? Work on the way we say it and how we say it nearly as much as we should.
So with this guide, does it have to be an actual like PDF guide or ebook, or
No,
can you do this
no.
using video, or how does that work?
100%. You could just use a video, and in fact, everybody here should be using Vidyard or tools similar to that to send one-to-one videos in your emails. If you are not using Vidyard, and go look it up online right now, if you're not sending emails with your one-to-one videos, you are missing out on a tremendous opportunity to stand out, to humanize, to personalize, to make sure that your emails are opened and read and watched and consumed, to make sure that you're understood. I mean, I think one-to-one video is so powerful, and not only that, it's very efficient. If you've got a long question from a prospect to answer, and you try to type it out, how long is that going to take you? 10 minutes, 15 minutes? The average person types at least 3 times, excuse me, they talk at least 3 times faster than they type. So you can produce a video with a tool like Vidyard, and you can essentially just paste it in, the thumbnail and the link, into that email message. That takes you 30 seconds plus the time it takes you to make the video. And I can tell you what would have been a 15-minute writing turns into a 5-minute production of the video. But now they've seen your face, they've heard your voice. It's much more personal. It just stuns me how many contractors, folks in the home improvement space where relationships matter so much, don't take advantage of this stuff, Logan. It's just like head scratcher city there, buddy.
Yeah, but like, let's just say, like, my dad, he's 63. Is he too old for doing Vidyard or Loom or any of that stuff?
100% no. In fact, he should be doing it more than anybody else because he's probably the slowest to stinking type of those that are out there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He's probably still looking at the dang keys and punching it with his index finger,
Yeah.
right? So we're talking what makes you efficient, and this is you in the home. And if you're not going to be going, people tell me all the time, I just got to get in front of the homeowner. I just got to get in front of the homeowner. If I get in front of the homeowner, I'm going to win the deal. Okay, get and stink in front of the homeowner. But words are not you getting in front of the homeowner. That's words in front of the homeowner. But video is like you getting, again, nose to nose, face to face. That gives you that chance to make them say, wow, I love this person. I love the way they sound. I love the way they think. I love their vibe. I trust this guy. I trust this gal, right? That's how it should be.
So what videos are you sending using Vidyard? Is there like a specific set of videos you have to send, or is it just basic questions that prospects
Oh,
ask?
there's so many. So you could do one that is, let's say one that I like to do is a 80% video, and the 80% video addresses the 80% of questions you're going to receive when you sit down with the homeowner that you could easily just send in a video beforehand. And what's cool about this video and the tool like Vidyard is you can make just a standard 80% video that you don't have to remake every time, and you just re-grab it and you resend it to the homeowner before that initial sales appointment or that initial sales call. That's an example of one that you should absolutely be doing. Another one that you could be doing, let's say you're doing virtual sales appointments, and let's say that they haven't used your technology before. You can send a video explaining the technology, how to set it up and how to use it, so as to make sure you don't hit any issues beforehand. Example, when you do a virtual sales appointment, you want to make sure they turn the camera on. Do not allow the person to turn the camera off or just call into the meeting. Not nearly as effective, aka dumb. We do not want to do that. We should be face to face like Logan and I are right now. He can see me, I can see him. It's a different type of communication. I'm more engaged because of it, and so is he. And our prospects, as we know, need to be engaged. It's no different than if you went in the home and you had a sales appointment, are you going to allow the TV to remain on while you're talking? Well, if you are, that's dumb too, because we all know that if TV's on, they're not going to be as focused. It's not going to be the same type of experience, right? So smart salespeople walk into the home and they say something like this: you know what? I get distracted so easy. Do you think would you mind turning off the TV so that I'm not so distracted? Now it's not about them. You made it about you, but in reality, you're saving the homeowner because now they're going to be more focused. That's the type of things that we have to think about. So you want to prevent those types of issues before the call. You can do it like that. Send a video explaining the technology, explaining the setup, how to add it to your computer, just general rules of engagement, etc. Also, follow-up calls. So great. Hey, Logan, just want to remind you, here's everything that we covered in our discussion today, right? Here's what you need to do next. Here's the next steps. Here's what we're going to do. Here's when we're going to have another conversation, right? That's a great one. Use it with customer service. Use it when they've made a purchase and you want to thank them for their purchase, right? Use it as a check-in. Use it with your service department. It's got to be winterized, that thing? Okay, send that video out saying, hey, have you thought about winterization? Here's the thing you got to be thinking about, or the opening of the thing, or whatever that is. I mean, across the board, all your communications, there's a good chance they could be done more effectively, more personalized with video.
So with these sales teams that are now forced to go virtual, is there one video in particular or one set of things they need to talk about that you would say, hey, the very first video that you do right now should be X?
Well, I mean, I think probably one of the first ones is what to expect, right? For whatever that thing is, what to expect. I would say the next one would be that 80% video. That's a
Yep.
no-brainer. That's an absolute no-brainer. You don't, eh, what we don't want is to answer the same daggum questions every time we meet with the homeowner. And if you are, it's because you haven't taken the time to teach them. It's not their fault they don't know, it's your fault they don't know. And so we need to spend time selling, less time teaching. So you want to teach on the front end through video, right? That's not live, it's not face to face. And then once you're face to face, now you want to start selling. That is the goal. That's the idea. You're still going to have to teach some, but ideally we teach less.
So last question about all this is you've got your sales teams, which are the ones actually, quote unquote, producing the revenue. Then you got marketing, who's the ones that are going to be producing the videos. So in this case, are they two separate entities, or are they now one team, one fight because of,
Yeah, I'm
you
so
know,
with you, bro. I like to call them revenue teams, not sales and marketing, because they shouldn't be siloed. And if you understand today's digital buyer, there's so much overlap between sales and marketing anyway. I mean, somebody contacts you and they say, hey, I've already vetted your site, I already know what I want. Now I just need you to give me a price. You didn't make a sale, you gave a price. You're an order taker. There's nothing impressive about that. And so sales teams need to become much more involved in the marketing process. They need to be the ones that are helping to produce the videos. Plus, they're usually some of the best subject matter experts. They're hearing all the questions, so they should be ideating the content anyway. Marketing should see themselves as responsible for revenue, not just producing fluffy words and videos. They should see themselves as responsible for helping the sales team look like superheroes and stars, and geniuses, right? So they both need to evolve and adjust. They both have a higher calling, higher set of responsibilities, but it's a beautiful shift if you ask me.
yeah, I love that because I know it's like a marketing agency. If, we can produce lead after lead, but if the person doesn't know how to sell, then we're just an expense. So it really is, we're doing our best
That's
to
it.
tie the two together of like,
That's it.
this is what we're putting out there. This is how you do it.
That's exactly right, brother.
Cool, man. Well, to wrap all this up, I know we talked about doing this in 2 weeks. I think this is something that's got to go out ASAP. So this will go out in a few days. So one final piece of advice for all the contractors out there that are probably freaking out right now. What's one final message that you'd want to lead them with, whether it's from your past history or what you're seeing right now that would be effective, you think?
I would just say this, there's never been a better time in your business than right now to innovate. And if you really, really obsess about what your buyers are thinking right now, you're going to innovate. Let me give you an example. Somebody said to me, why are people, how would anybody be buying a swimming pool right now? Here's what I told them, and we can close at this point. I said, right now, there's millions of kids at home. They're not supposed to be home, but they're home. They're home all day long. Their parents are home. They're not supposed to be home. They're supposed to be at work, but they're home. And this means they're under strain. They're under stress. And for some, home almost starts to feel like a prison. There's many families and there's many marriages under strain right now because of what's happening. And for many of these people, some of them are going to get a swimming pool this year. And the ones that get a swimming pool, that is going to take that home that for some, not everybody, but for some feels almost like a prison. And it's going to give them the respite that they need. It's going to give them the break that they need from reality. It's going to allow them to feel like, oh, here's just a sense of normalcy and of freedom. I'm not cooped up on my phone. I'm not cooped up in my bedroom. I'm actually physically active, and I'm laughing with my family instead of worried about that next thing or that next day. Swimming pools will literally prevent divorces in this country over the next 6 months. And I'm not kidding you. That's literally what's going to happen because it's going to be therapeutic. And so for all my team that was wondering who's going to buy pools right now, our pools serve a major mission, more so than they ever have over these next 6 or 12 months or whatever this thing is, right? However long it takes. That same thing applies to everybody that's listening to this, regardless of what you sell. There's opportunity here, opportunities for tremendous innovation. Take advantage of this time, learn like crazy, and you're going to come out better off than you were. And while your competitors in the marketplace is saying, I'm just going to wait and see, you're doubling down, you're getting busier, you're working hard, you're working smart, and you're finding a way to turn this negative into a positive. I know that's more than one statement, Logan, but I really believe that to be true.
That's perfect. I appreciate that. So Marcus, where's a good place for people to connect with you or follow you if they want to learn more about
Well,
what it
if
is
you
that?
want to learn from me, best place is LinkedIn because I'm a prolific teacher on LinkedIn. And especially right now during this time, I'm posting every single day something that will make you think, that'll help you learn, maybe make you laugh a little bit too. You can email me directly. Marcus@marcussheridan.com is my direct email. Marcus@marcussheridan.com. But Logan, it's been a pleasure talking to you today, buddy.
Marcus, thank you, man.